Okay guys, so I wanted to put out a good step-by-step Arthur lift tutorial because I really want everybody to try this move. And if you're not comfortable doing it because you don't know exactly how, hopefully this video will resolve that. So step one is your grip. And this is more important than you might think. You want to get the proper grip width. I go pretty wide, not quite snatch grip, but not also maybe a little wider than bench, because as you can see, I have really long arms and a short waist, and it's hard for me to get the height on the bar to get it up over my ass. If I have my arms too close together, I'm having to use too much arm strength to try to pull it up. You will see some people doing that, but it works a lot better for short arm people. By the same token, you don't want to have it super wide, because then it actually makes it hard to actually get it over your ass because it wants to be too close. So you want to experiment and get a good grip in the middle. Another key is to use hook grip. You could use over under, but that's a little bit too complicated. Makes it a little harder. For anything close to a maximum weight, you're definitely going to want to use hook grip, because while you might be strong enough to double overhand this lift, it is somewhat of an explosive lift. So just like with a clean, yeah, you could double overhand your clean weight, but for that explosive pop, you definitely want a stronger grip. So I definitely recommend a hook grip for anything approaching maximal weight. Okay, so step one, of course, is going to be the pull off the floor, right? Now what you see a lot of people doing is they're going to pull off the floor, pause, and then pop it up over their hips. Now, I don't like doing that, and Arthur Saxon himself did not recommend doing that. And really, it's basically like trying to do an Olympic clean and jerk, except that you're just doing a deadlift, pausing, and then hang cleaning to get your clean. That's just not as efficient as continuing your momentum. So what I like to do is make that whole first movement actually get me up over the hips. Okay, so it's gonna look like this. Now, this is a decent weight, but it's not a super heavy weight. I would have probably had to land a little bit lower down if it was a maximal weight. That's okay. May hurt a little bit, that's fine. I recommend using a belt, because that way you have a place to drop the weight without it hurting you. A thin Olympic belt is fine. I use a powerlifting belt, but I don't recommend it. It's too thick. It makes it a little bit harder to get up over the belt. So now that you're in this position, you can kind of pause, as you see I'm doing. From here, it's a thinking man's lift. You have to have some intensity, but you also have to have some kind of calm, deliberateness of action. Here, you can completely let your arms go. Okay, I'm not gonna do both at one time, but you can let one arm and then the other go, and your arms should be barely doing anything at this point. You're just slightly gripping with the fingers towards the collar, but your arms are doing next to nothing. Now, everything is just popping with the hips. And this is where you get the really good benefits of the lift. Such a nice weighted dynamic stretch on the hamstrings, and you feel it in your quads in an interesting way too, and the glutes. I always feel better in my lower back the next day. It's very, very healthy. Now, my arms are doing next to nothing, see? A lot of people that use single arm strength, they'll do that. And your arms should be doing very little. And as you can see, I could have paused the movement at any time. At no point was I, locked into doing something right now. You have time and freedom of movement. But you see I'm out of breath. It is very exhausting to be in that position. And yeah, you're gonna want to take a little bit of a pause before the jerk or before you squat, because you've been hunched over, both mechanically and in terms of exertion. You should be somewhat winded. Now, I'm not really gonna tutor the next part because I'm not an Olympic lifter. I'm not the best at jerks. There are much better people to teach a behind the neck jerk than me, but generally, to move the most weight possible, you're going to want to use a split jerk. Anything else works though, it all counts. Okay, so just a split jerk. And that was terrible, but hopefully you get the point.